time to address the biggest story in all of sports. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. And that's why right now we're going to bring you a FUSCO Show special report. Cowboys in crisis.
Cowboys in crisis.
Yet another embarrassing loss by one of the most losingest franchises in all of sports. The Dallas Cowboys taking a huge L from the San Francisco 49ers. And Dak Prescott just having a rough Tony Romo-esque performance, throwing 2 interceptions. And, it should have been more. But, the 49ers, they kept dropping all those easy picks because they were probably so in shock by those shitty passes Dak was throwing.
They couldn't believe it.
Yeah, they couldn't. They're like, wait, you're actually making it that easy for me? They couldn't get over the shock. Anyway, Dak's embarrassing performance, came after he led the league in interceptions during the regular season, even though he only started a paltry 12 games. Anyway, after the loss to the 49ers, Dak said about all those interceptions, he said, quote, "I promise the number will never be this high again." Tony, does this sound to you like, just talk, or can Dak actually deliver on that very bold promise?
I think he can. In fact, it's very clear what Dak needs to do next season if he wants to throw fewer interceptions. He needs more injuries. The more he's injured, the fewer games he can play in, and the fewer interceptions he can throw.
Yep.
Just look at the 2020 season. Dak's numbers were great in that year. Sure, he only started 5 games, but he also only threw 4 interceptions. So, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm telling Dak, stop working on throwing passes and start working on throwing your back out.
Terrific analysis and also advice there, Tony. Just terrific. And when you step back and you take what they call a bird's eye perspective at the Cowboys and just yet another disappointing season by them, it's easy to spot where the problem is. People think the problem starts at the end of the season. No. The problem, it happens before the season ever starts. You see, because the Cowboys used to be good, decades ago, for some reason now people get it in their heads that they can win Super Bowls. And Tony, that just puts too much pressure on everybody involved, the players, the coaches. It's too much pressure to handle. And Tony, you came up with a solution the other day that I thought was just brilliant. Why don't you just go ahead and tell the people what that was?
Yeah. Since the Cowboys are too terrible to compete for Super Bowls, they need to do what they call in business a rebrand.
Yep.
They need a name that's more representative of their horrible brand. I think the Cowboys need a new nickname, and there's a perfect one sitting right there unused. The Oilers. They never won a Super Bowl. They never even went to a Super Bowl. And Jerry Jones, his best work wasn't in football, but in oil.
Yep.
So just rebrand the team the Dallas Oilers. That will take the pressure off everybody. Now, if they just make the playoffs or even finish above 500, everyone will say, hey, that's pretty good for the Oilers.
What an education there, Tony. So much smart advice again by
Thank you.
And before we move on, I just want to go back quickly to the interception machine known as Dak Prescott. Because, the organization, the Cowboys, or the Oilers, whatever you want to call them now, they're in a very tricky situation here, because he's got that contract. What do you do with him? You look at it, because he's got that huge cap hit, well, they can't cut him without losing a fortune there. And, because he's got that huge contract, well, nobody in their right mind is going to want to trade for him. And, Tony, usually, we have solutions here, very simple, but I don't know if the Cowboys have a way out of this. Do you?
I don't want to get into too much detail, given that we're on air here, broadcasting to millions of people. But let's just say I do know a few people who happen to specialize in this sort of situation. Just one phone call. And again, I don't want to say too much, but Dak, he just kind of goes away. Again, I don't want to say too much, but Quincy Carter was a Cowboys quarterback, and have you seen him since the year 2004?
Nope.
Me neither.
Wow. Well, I don't want to say too much here either, Tony, but, You made the point. If you're the Cowboys here, you do have to explore all options, don't you?
All options on the table.
Well, that right there concludes our special report, Cowboys in Crisis, and leads to our next special report, Jets in Crisis.
Jets in Crisis.
Yup, to another team struggling at quarterback with seemingly no end in sight, the New York Jets, who finished the season with many unanswered questions, like who their starting quarterback should be, and of course, which 42-year-old mom slept with one of their quarterbacks.
Yeah,
but
sure.
That's neither here nor there.
Yep.
The big story right now, maybe an end in sight. There are rumors that the Jets could be engineering a trade for Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. And when you break it down, Tony, here, Rodgers, he seems like he may actually be a perfect fit in New York. Isn't that right?
Yep. From what I see, Aaron Rodgers is close to achieving the necessary level of shittiness to make him eligible to be a Jets quarterback. All his numbers, including passer rating, are down like 200%, which has him right on track. Let me demonstrate on this chart. On the left side, that line represents fit. And on the right side, that line represents shittiness. As you can see, the shittier that Aaron Rodgers gets, the more he fits in with the Jets.
Wow.
Right now, Aaron Rodgers has a somewhat solid level of fit and shittiness. My only concern is that he might need a couple more years to achieve the proper level of shittiness necessary for a Jets quarterback. This is why I think the team should pursue better options like Daniel Jones or Andy Dalton, who are perfectly shitty right now.
Just more terrific analysis by you there, Tony. And, it leads me to a question. Clearly you're the expert here. In your estimation, do you think that Dak Prescott now qualifies to be a Jets quarterback?
Absolutely. Dak is on such a downward spiral that he is actually racing upwards towards the top of the Jets QB wish list.
Wow.
My sources tell me the Jets front office was very impressed with his performance in that 49ers game. Don't be surprised if trade talks heat up soon.
Well, we'll keep an eye on any breaking developments there. And in the meantime, that concludes our special report, Jets in Crisis.